Yes, sir.
All right, what's going on? This is the first episode of the Next Up podcast. So, it's your boy Josh, aka the Moses and Muscle, coming at you with a not truck talk, but a podcast. Let's see how this shit goes. First 30 seconds, I cursed already. All right, cool. So, these are going to be your two main hosts. Obviously, myself, Josh. Colin, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
What's going on? My name's Colin, aka to Josh, Cousin Creamy.
Cousin Creamy. Got to. Got to. Yeah, so definitely at some point we're gonna have to bring a creamy on here.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so we're just gonna have fun with this. There's no real, I guess, direction of where this podcast is gonna go. We're just gonna do things and see how it goes. So first episode, obviously, gotta introduce ourselves, see what's going on here. So I'm obviously Josh, 26 years old. I'm a gym owner, quasi bodybuilder, not a great bodybuilder, but hopefully one day. I own a gym. I'm also a coach and a personal trainer and do a lot of other things that kind of involve that, fix equipment, things like that. So that's really the main gist of where I'm at in my life. Colin, I'm gonna let you go and explain a little bit about yourself and we'll kind of roll from there.
So as you guys heard before, my name's Colin. I am 25. I am a personal trainer for Lifetime. I have my own online fitness as well. I'm a washed up collegiate athlete turned bodybuilder, ex-fat boy. Now I weigh all my food out. But yeah, it's really, in the case of bodybuilding and the world of fitness, that is the main gist of my life.
Where'd you go to school?
So I went to school in Rockford, Illinois. I went to Rockford University.
All right, and what'd you play?
Like position was?
No, just sport and I guess position too. So
Oh, I played baseball and I was a catcher turned outfielder when I went to school.
copy, copy. So I definitely didn't mention that. I was a former football player, former Division I football player. I played at Bryant University. And this actually kind of goes into like, I guess, why I bodybuild. So for me, I played college football. I played 17 years of football. I started when I was three, turning four, because I was a little too aggressive for other sports. There was a lot of things going on in my life that, aggression was kind of the outlet. So when I was in my junior year, funny enough, being from Long Island, you come home, you get to play at a school that's around about where you grew up. So we played at Wagner College, and I was hyped. I was ready to go. Ran down on kickoff, first play, got a block in the back, but should have had the tackle. Whatever, things happen. And fast forward halftime, opening kickoff, running down on kickoff, went to go backdoor on somebody, tore my ACL.
Oh,
Boom,
that's
done.
so brutal.
Best part about it, my mom has come to every game pretty much that I've ever played in, and she has only missed games that I've gotten hurt at. And she was in the RV in the parking lot, came back after halftime, obviously missed opening kickoff of halftime, tear my ACL, and I'm calling her from the sideline with the trainer's phone, like, "Hey, mom, I think I'm done for the next 9 months." She's like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I ran down the field and they're telling me I tore my ACL. I don't think I tore it. I think I'll be fine." So yeah, that was the end of the football career. And on the surgery table, I'm looking at the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, you'll be ready in 9 months." I go, "Let's make it six. Also, I'll never have legs this small again."
Jesus
And then,
Christ.
and then bodybuilding started.
So
So
you just kind of like hang up the cleats after that one?
I tried to come back. I
Oh yeah.
definitely tried to come back. And I was able to sprint, couldn't jog. So my full speed worked. And that's about it. It kind of became a microcosm for my life. I can go full speed. I can't go half speed. I don't know how to.
That's
So
crazy.
I still have a little bit of a limp when I jog. So we don't jog. We walk or do the elliptical stairmaster or sprint full speed. There's no in between. So,
No shit.
but yeah, so that's my college career wrapped up. I was supposed to be, pretty good and things happen. You get over recruited. Your best friends become, your mortal enemies. Your mortal enemies become your best friends. And life goes on, and thank God football's over. So, still love football. There was a period of time I hated football, but still love it. Still want to go to games. Still want to watch some of my boys play in the league. But absolutely am done myself playing. Would never do it again.
Yeah.
So, but how'd your college career go? How'd everything with that like kind of run out?
It
Explain.
was, I mean, it was interesting to say the least. So I went to Rockford University. I got recruited to play out there. The recruiting process was a real pain in the ass when it came to baseball. Just again, baseball, whoever plays it, it's a really, really deep pool to pick from. So, I mean, you got kids coming from Puerto Rico. And yeah, again, I knew I was never going top D1. It was something that I just kind of accepted. But I just wanted to pursue it and, continue to play. I love the sport, love the game, and then went to school there. More so for the fact that they gave me the most money out of everyone. So I was like, hey, let's make it the cheapest route. So I went there, played there for a year, and that was also the time in which that you hear the freshman 15, Colin put on the freshman 50. So got real hefty. And then I spent a year there, came back, went to a junior college, and in the midst of, you know, taking the year off from baseball, I wanted to play back when I came home. But with all that said, I ended up finding my way into fitness and, you know, did the usual first crash diet, lost 100 pounds, went 255 to 155 in the matter of 5.5 months, something like that. And then from there, ended up getting my life together, going into the junior college, trying out for the team, made the team. And from that point, no. Yeah, at that point we were playing and that was COVID year. So once COVID hit, I was like, oh, it's not coming. It's not gonna, we're fine. And 2 weeks later, season shut down, and that was kind of the solidification that I'm no longer meant to play baseball. And I wouldn't even say that's when I got into bodybuilding. That's just when I got into fitness. Like that collective year was like my big fitness year. And then I translated that into bodybuilding 2 years after, once I actually started to find a love for it. And that's when I really was like, okay, don't just go into the gym with nothing. Like actually have a plan, actually eat properly, stuff of that nature.
Cool. So I don't know if she's in here yet, but I'll tell my story about how I got into fitness. So my story about fitness is a little different. Obviously, I got into bodybuilding simply because I'm hard-headed. So when somebody told me 9 months, I was like, no, we're gonna do 6. Um, but I actually got into going to the gym and fitness as a 12-year-old. So my godmother, Suzanne, who I'm definitely bringing on the podcast at some point because as I get into the story, it's going to get pretty cool. So she used to train at Bev's. Everyone knows Bev's. I'm from Long Island. I own a gym that's 13 minutes from Bev's. So that's always fun. But he used to go to Bev's back in the 90s, which is, you know, in my opinion, the true golden era of bodybuilding. So like she knows Dave Palumbo. She has stories about like going out with what was it? It wasn't Juan. It was Victor Martinez. So
Oh,
actually
Victor.
this is a really good story. So Garden States. Um I walk off stage. I'm not the happiest person in the world because I thought I should have done better walking into the show. And then there was a guy who definitely should have beat me. And he did. And, I'm all upset, don't want to do Universe the next week. And I come out and I see my mom and my godmom talking to some dude who looks a lot like Victor Martinez. And I'm like, what's going on here? And his hand is tapping the guy on the shoulder. They're hugging, they're laughing. And I'm like, what's going on here? She's like, oh, this is Victor. I'm like, how do you know him? Like, oh, he was a young gun, like training at Bev's when I was there. I was like, wait, what? And then
That's
he's
wild.
inviting me to like the show that he hosts and stuff like that. And it was just like, wait, what's going on here? Um, I've been to Bev's. I went to a seminar. She's cool with Jay Cutler. Like, yeah. So at the age of 12, she brought me to my first gym. It was called Fitness 19.
Okay.
It was probably about 3 miles from my house. And we did everything 3 sets of 15, perfect form, and 45 minutes of cardio afterwards, no matter what. So I went from
Damn.
being a chubby kid to a guy who just started doing that. And if we didn't do 45 minutes of cardio after every workout, we went for a 3 mile run in the morning. So
Oh my
that's
God.
that's just how I got into it. And I was enamored with the fact that you could change your physique by just working out. Now, let's get into the food thing because, like you said, you were a fat kid, boy. So my nutrition at the time would be if I wasn't hardcore dieting, which I'll tell you the hardcore diet, I would wake up, toaster strudel, had to, go to school, eat whatever the school lunch was, come home,
Yep.
either have I think she just walked in, either have like a sandwich or some sort of, you know, nothing too crazy. And then I would get home. And the first thing I'd have was either a Quest protein bar, shout out Quest, got me through high school, a little bit of college, and tea, to where I
Okay.
would dip the Quest bar into some tea, which made it soft, and then eat it, or a pure protein bar. Those were good too.
Oh yeah.
And then normally my mom would start cooking dinner, but in the interim of cooking dinner and that Quest bar, I would have a box of cereal, pretty much. So it would be cereal with milk or whey and milk. And as soon as the bowl of cereal didn't have enough milk in it, I would add more milk. But now there's too much milk, so you need more cereal. And that cycle would go until dinner was ready. So I might go
Jesus.
through a box, I might go through a box and a half, I might go through half a box. It depended on how long the dinner would pretty much take. So that was my diet probably from like 12 to 14. Um, but I lost 30 pounds. I was looking pretty
Jesus.
solid. And the whole reason that we did that or started going to the gym was I was going from my town. I'm not going to say my town on here, but I was going from my town football league where I was good, but not great. Um, but I had potential. Like I just had potential. I was one of the bigger kids. I was willing to smack my face into a wall. And I was going into the best team on Long Island. I was going to go and try out for the team, which was St. Anthony's football. So anybody who knows about the Friars knows that we were some dogs back then. Actually, they're dogs now. They're better now. So I don't even know why I'm saying that. But and everyone told me from my town, like, you'll be back in a year. You're not making it. There's no shot. Same thing with the doctor on
Jesus.
the surgery table. Had to prove him wrong. So lost like 30 pounds, showed up. I was a 5 foot 4.5 foot freshman, 150 pound linebacker. And I made the team. I thought I was getting cut. The kid who started over me wound up becoming one of my best friends. His name's Elijah. and he was 6 foot, 190 pounds as a freshman. Within the first game, I was a starter. He started the first game. He played about a quarter. I think he got hurt in that game, or they just let me play. I had 12 tackles. I never gave that starting role back.
That's sick.
And then sophomore year came around. Next thing I know, I was 5'9", 190 pounds. I shot up. And again, I just didn't give that starting role back. So, yeah. And then sooner or later, now we'll get into the hardcore diet. The hardcore diet was called the fruit diet. 3 days, nothing but fruit.
Oh my God.
No bananas, though. Like it couldn't be like something that would actually satiate you. It had to be like citrus. I remember by the
Oh.
end of the 3 day diet, normally the roof of my mouth would be like peeled off because I was eating so much pineapple.
I say it's so acidic at that point, it's just eating your shit
Oh,
away.
yeah, so I think that has now become why after the show, the first thing I wanted was fruit. Because like,
Fair.
hey, I've been eating chicken for so long, like let me get some fruit. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was my start into fitness. I just became enamored with how like you could change your body like that if you just turn around and actually got diligent with it. So definitely something that it made me who I am today. I don't think I would have gotten into bodybuilding per se if other things in my life did kind of go wrong, but definitely made it. Yeah, she's in here now. Definitely made it possible by going through the fitness journey first and then moving towards it. So
Yeah.
definitely a fun one. Let's get into after that. I mean, what got you into bodybuilding was obviously the COVID year, but like, how did you navigate that whole process of going from baseball into bodybuilding?
So it was more, I really think it was more so based on the competitive nature. I've always grown up with a super competitive basis when it came to like athletics or just I always wanted to be the best and that was just so when it came to quit, yeah, I guess you could say quitting baseball, I just wanted something to work towards and just it turned out to be like I wanted to be the best, then it was like I just want to be the best version of myself and so I didn't really know anything about bodybuilding. Again, posing, eating, whatever it may be, whether it's like a meal plan, macros. So I did what any 20-year-old at the time did. I went and watched Christian Guzman and I watched his summer shredding. I watched how he went through his entire prep and I wouldn't say I copied it. It was more like I emulated and just took pieces and threw it into my own life to get a little bit of structure. And then at that point, Chris Guzman, then it was like the Chris Bumstead. Then I started following him and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Then it got into the idea of classic physique and not board shorts because I'm never putting a pair of board shorts on in my life. My legs are just too worthy of that.
Yeah,
And
100%.
but it was something where I got really fascinated on, again, the training, the lifestyle of it. And even when I lost 100 pounds, granted, I did it completely wrong. And I'm fully aware that I did it very, very wrong because I lost a shitload of muscle. Like just whatever. From my personal experience, it was just like I just wanted the weight off. And I was doing anything and everything to lose the weight. I didn't care how long it took, how I got there, just lose the weight. And then again, it was getting into the sport, really noticing how much work I had to be done. And each year, progressively, it's like you want to obviously grow and be better than you were the next season. But to be completely honest, the first two shows that I've ever done shouldn't have even stepped on stage. Like this was probably the year, my first year I should have stepped on stage, but if I didn't do those shows, then I definitely wouldn't be where I am in my career with bodybuilding. I wouldn't be here with the mindset that I have. So it's all kind of happens for a reason, but it's kind of built where I stand because again, I look back at those pictures and I'm just like, wow, dude, you were 5 weeks out on stage. And it's like you should not have been there. Um, but again, it's something where my competitive nature just from athletics in my career has really pushed me into the sport of bodybuilding and what's kind of helped me keep the goal, like just have a goal in mind. Because again, when you're in sports, your goal is just that season, and then you go through that season, and when it's high school, you go into the next sport, and then you go into the next sport. So you're always working towards a goal. So even for myself, having a very goal-driven mindset is that, yeah, okay, like say prep's over, but okay, how can we get better? So we take 6 to 8 months, a year, however long it is, to just grow and get better, and then prep starts over again, and the only thing changes, it's just you still have a goal in mind, you just eat less food and move more.
Nice. I was actually going to ask the next thing would be like, where do you see yourself in the next year? What's your next show plan? What do you feel like you need to progress on your physique in order to get to the next level? You're already a top call out at a national show, but let's be real, we're not trying to just be the, in the top call out. Next up is called next up for a reason. We want to be the next person up and new, and we move forward. So,
Yeah.
what do you feel like you need to bring up? What did the judges tell you need to bring up? What is your process going into the next phase or the next show plans?
So my next show, I don't really have, I have a general idea. I'm thinking North Americans next year. Um, if I want to do that, maybe it depends. It really all depends on how much progress I make in this next push up. So I'm still in health phase. I'm just kind of reversing out of the show still. We're cleaning that up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're just gonna kind of full blast into my next push up. But it really depends how much progress I make in the next push up. But because I'm pretty close to my cap, I still have some room because your boy is the lovely class A, so I can only be 182 for when I weigh in. But the one thing that
What
I
were you
know
at the
for
last show?
I weighed in at 181 point something, but the lowest of prep I got to was 176. So again, I still have probably a good 6 pounds that I can put on. But I also am I've gotten to the point now where it's like I'm willing to fucking put myself through the ring and like absolutely go to hell and back to again make weight and do all that shit. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so it's probably something where I'm aiming for North Americans. If it's not North Americans, I'm thinking go for the big show. Just go for nationals, like
Nice.
NPC nationals. And like you said, I'm not here to win a pro card off a second place. I want to fight for an overall. But the biggest thing, I just got to bring up my upper body. That's really it. My back lacks severely. My arms, my chest, aka insert upper body part here, it lacks
Nice.
compared to my legs. So my legs are super overpowering, and that's what the judges told me. They're overpowering. Um, I just need more balance. So legs are going to be like a nice maintenance volume through this next push up, and probably going to be doing two hard burying sets of yeah buddy rows a week.
Nice. So, for those who don't know, uh, we should probably talk about how we met, but his
Yeah.
coach is Jack Eagles out in the UK, Mr. Yeah Buddy Rowe himself. So, well, I guess Mr. Yeah Buddy Rowe would be Ronnie, but we'll say the second coming of Mr. Yeah Buddy Rose would be Jack Eagles. So, for myself, when it comes to what I know I need to work on next show plans, as of right now, the next show plan is Nationals 2025. I stepped on stage and
Oh
I
man.
was stepped on stage at 201. I am class C-D. Uh, I've never been heighted as short as I was at Universe in my life. Um, been 6'1" since I was senior in high school. And I walked up there and they told me I was 6 foot. And I started laughing. Um, and I was like, "You want to do that again?" He was like, "Doesn't really matter. You're well under the weight cap." So I was 201. My Class D weight cap is 224. My Class C weight cap is 217. The lowest of prep was 195. Um, Currently, I'm sitting at 225 as of this morning with glute lines still in. So that just goes to tell you that we're still in shape. And that's why on Instagram, I continue to make the joke of when's North Americans again? Because I could still make weight if I, dieted for a week. But realistically, as per the judges, I have great shape. Posing was good, conditioning was good, but being 201 in a class that's 217, you just need to get bigger. Point blank, period. So I think I've done a decent job of that so far. Also in a health phase, in a very, very extended health phase, because I don't plan on doing anything stupid for a long period of time, especially with gaining 20 something pounds in, 6 weeks. So realistically, the plan is Nationals 2025, but also with the rate at which I'm growing, that might not be possible. So, not saying I'm going to put on 16 pounds of stage weight, but giving myself a year and a half, if I were to continue at this rate, there's no shot that I'd be able to make a weight cap again. So, might have to do universe again, might have to do North Americans, might have to do nationals. We'll see kind of where it ends up. I did switch coaches. I'm not saying who my coach was, and I'm not saying who my current coach is. But it's a very different approach, which I think we'll get into episode 2 on kind of the approaches of our coaches, because we'll just make this one nice and short. But that is my next plan. As you said, insert upper body part here. Probably the only thing I don't need to work on might be my back. I could probably keep that at maintenance, but who doesn't like to train back? And honestly, at the end of the day, shows are won from the back. If my hamstrings look like you, maybe I turn around and I'd put more volume on the front. But like for myself, I like to do aggressive things before sets on either legs or back. I say, this is either dumb things with friends or this is hyper aggressive things without friends, because just want to get it going. So we are definitely going to get into this more, but let's finish this up with kind of how we met. So I'm going to tell it from my perspective, and then you can tell it from yours, because it's going to be two very different ones, which is
Yep.
hilarious because you don't even know the original way of how I know you. So
Fair
the
enough.
original way I know you is from Jack, following Jack and seeing that you were doing a show in Jersey. And I had no idea how tall you were. I had no idea who you were, anything like that. And I just saw he posted something and he was like, "Oh, classic physique. Colin's coming in for this show." And I was like, "What the hell's attached to his lower body? What the?" So I was like, "Yeah, this kid's good." And I'm pretty sure I followed you then, or I might not have followed you, and I might have just stayed quiet and watched your profile from a distance. Cool, great. Everything was cool there, fun times. And then you did your second show, and I don't think you won that show. I think you got like second or third in that show. And I remember I messaged Jack, and I was like, "What?" I was like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?" And then me and Jack talked a little bit more, and we talked about you doing some 600-pound squat walkouts to get you into Class A, which I thought was hilarious. And
Yeah.
then from there, I knew I had been following you at this point, because the first thing I saw you and I walked up to you, me and you both, I think, in posing trunks at the time, and I was like, "Yo, you're Jack's client, right? You look fantastic," in like the
Yep.
creepiest way possible. But I had already kind of, to a degree, known who you were, known of you. And my entire idea was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go and say what's up to this kid. Hopefully, we're cool." But knowing that, it's a show and we're both depleted to a degree, he might not be in the best mood. So let's see what happens. And yeah, so that's from my perspective. I know we talked for like a minute or two. You were definitely sitting there and I could tell you were tired, didn't really want to speak. And I was like, whatever, we'll talk later. And then I think we found each other again later in that day and
Yeah.
chatted it up. So I'll
Yeah.
let you
No,
talk from your perspective.
it was it was funny because I like when cuz I think I vividly remember like you following me and I didn't really look at your profile and I just saw like Moses the Muscle and I just saw like it wasn't you as your profile picture. It was like some I think it might have been your gym or it was something. It just wasn't
It's a
you.
cartoon.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's probably just like a fitness account, whatever. And I kind of again mid prep was fucking numb and I was because numb for that might be another
Yeah.
episode or down the line we'll get into that. But
100%.
um so yeah, we because I remember walking backstage and then all of a sudden I hear like, oh, you're Jack's client. And I got that a bunch that weekend. Um, because it's weird how much people or like how many people knew of Jack. And I was like, oh, you're Jack's client, you're Jack's client. And whether it was like post past shows or anything of that nature. But yeah, like remember walking up, like, oh, you look it was something you said like, oh, you look phenomenal, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, weird, thanks. And you're right. I was fucking hurting bad. I was so tired and I was like, I just want to go sit down. But like you said, we started chatting a bit, then we were like bullshitting about, all the first thing I think was like cream of rice, and then you showed me like the supplement shop, you can get like the UK stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this kid's mad cool. And then that was kind of like how we connected on all that. But just to circle back real quick, what you said about that show. So my first show this season I did was Atlantic States. And again, I planned on doing gardens, and for some reason my 16-week prep turned into a 12-week prep to do Atlantic States. Came in, I did class B, I didn't do class A, and I was pretty peeled. I mean, obviously I got leaner, but respect to the winners, but I fucking got robbed on that one. But yeah, it was like I said, was doing some crazy shit to get me into class A. Shout out to people in Shelby, North Carolina at my second show. Didn't even hype me, just weighed me in and sent me on my way.
Nice.
And yeah, and then did the thing in Universe. And now we sit here, and now I just have to take a year and grow everything, and hopefully reach in the overall for over our pro card wins.
Oh yeah. Nationals 2025
It's
down
crazy
in
you're saying that
Texas.
you text. Oh yeah. Oh shit. It is in text. I forgot. Yeah, that's definitely like on the horizon, but I mean, it kind of sucks. It's the last national show of the season. So if like you don't get it there, it's like pay another $130 and do it again
Yeah.
in a month.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my only concern, but also being peeled from North Americans in August to December
Yeah, no
is
shot.
not an option.
Mm-mm.
It's
You no.
and then
Fuck.
also trying to rebound from a North Americans and then get peeled again for December doesn't even sound like it's a smart idea. So it's shoot for universe or you shoot for junior nats really to be big enough for junior nats and then piece your way through the season, see where you end up at your best, and hope to God it's before North Americans and worst case scenario North Nationals. But Nationals, you got to be the big dog. If you're going to Nationals, you got to win to be that. Like you're showing up to the next pro show, and you got to be
Yeah.
that guy. So,
Yeah.
but I think we wrap it up there. I think we got a couple minutes left, and then
Yeah.
yeah, obviously me and you are going to talk the rest of the day because that's how it goes. So next next week, hopefully we'll rip this. We might have a guest or two, and we'll see what happens. So awesome chatting with you, brother. Next
Yes,
up
sir.
podcast. We'll see you next week.